The elevator doors were almost closed when Makena shoved her hand between them. Metal stopped less than an inch from her fingers. Sunho stepped forward, but Makena raised the black diamond ring before he could speak. Blood darkened the gold setting. The hidden plate remained open, exposing the symbol her father had concealed from her for 10 years. Bring him back. Taesung lay strapped to the gurney, his black shirt cut at the side beneath a clean pressure dressing. His face had lost its color, but his eyes stayed fixed on Makena. You should let them move, he managed. You should have told me my father was murdered. A paramedic glanced toward the elevator controls, apparently uncertain whether this was a medical emergency or a family argument with unusually expensive jewelry. Makena looked at him. He is not leaving until he answers me. Taesung's mouth moved with the faintest trace of dry amusement. That sounds medically unhelpful. It is emotionally necessary. Even Sunho looked away for half a second. The doors reopened. The gurney rolled back into the residence, past the stone console where Taesung had shielded her. The paramedics worked around him, asking permission before each new procedure. Taesung answered clearly, even while pain tightened his jaw. Consent mattered to him when he was powerless. Makena still did not know whether it mattered when he held the power. Ara stood near the windows with her ivory clutch pressed against her ribs. Her anger had disappeared. What remained looked older and far less decorative. Makena lifted the ring. You said my father belonged to the same oath. Taesung drew a careful breath. He kept it. That is not the same thing. No. Then start again. Sunho moved toward the security corridor. Taesung stopped him. Open everything. Every archive connected to her father. Every account. Every recording. She controls access now. Makena stared at him. Do not hand me another locked room and call it honesty. I am giving you the keys. You had keys last night, too. Taesung did not defend himself. He looked toward the leather bag beside the shattered coffee table. Her bag. The sealed envelope was still inside it. She had carried it through 3 apartments, 2 business loans, and 10 years of grief. Her father's handwriting covered the front. Makena and Salah. Open only if the black seal returns. Now the black seal rested in her palm. She removed the envelope. Its corners had softened from being handled and hidden away. The seal on the back matched the symbol inside the ring. Did you know what was inside? No. Did you know it existed? Yes. Makena laughed once without humor. You are remarkably committed to honesty arriving after it becomes useless. His eyes lowered. I know. Makena slid one finger beneath the paper. The envelope contained a photograph, a folded legal record, and a letter written in her father's hand. The photograph showed a younger Taesung beside a Korean woman Makena had never seen. She wore black silk and had her son's narrow eyes. Makena's father stood on her other side, one hand resting on a metal case marked with the crest. Ara's breath caught. You know her. His mother. Makena unfolded the legal record. Most of the language meant nothing without context, but 3 names stood out. Her father's, Taesung's mother's, and Win Holdings. Her pulse struck against her throat. Before Makena read the first truth her father had left behind, subscribe to Afro-Korean Love Tales Hub. Every subscription tells us these carefully built stories are reaching the people they were made for, and it helps us keep bringing you love stories where a woman's dignity is never the price of being chosen. The letter began without tenderness. Makena, if you are reading this, then the people I failed to stop have finally reached you. Her knees weakened. She sat in the nearest armchair because she suddenly needed the furniture to perform the simple miracle of holding her up. Selah's name appeared next. Keep your sister close. Trust no family that offers protection in exchange for ownership. Makena looked at Taesung. He did not look away. Her father explained that he had never belonged to Taesung's criminal organization. He had been the independent keeper of an oath created by Taesung's mother after she discovered powerful families laundering stolen money through ordinary businesses. Innocent owners were blamed, their companies collapsed, and the families behind the theft moved on untouched. The oath preserved evidence and prevented any one criminal family from controlling it. It had rules. No evidence could belong to the Yoon family. No protected company could be absorbed as payment. No heir could be forced to accept protection. No ring bearer could be claimed through marriage, debt, blood, or fear. Makena read the last line twice. This was never an engagement ring. Taesung's answer came quietly. No. Ara closed her eyes. Makena stood. You let an entire rooftop believe it was. Yes. You let me believe it. For part of the night. The fury crossing her face made one paramedic move the instrument tray farther from the conversation. Taesung continued. The ring was an emergency seal. It identified you as the lawful heir to the evidence your father protected. Anyone who recognized it was required to stop collection activity against your company until the records were reviewed. Then why did Caleb think I was engaged to you? The oath became a story. Men who could not control the evidence taught their children to fear the woman wearing it. And the women who disappeared inside your family? Some were hidden for safety, some took new identities, some were erased from public records by men who called that protection. You said none of them were me. Your father wrote a rule for you that no one else had. Makena unfolded the next page. If Taesung ever gives you the black ring, it does not make you his. It makes him answerable to you. Makena forced air into her lungs. Taesung had known enough to understand the ring was never permission to walk her out under his name as though he had acquired her. Caleb's polished world and Taesung's violent one had used different language for the same hunger. Control dressed as care. The ring suddenly felt heavier than it had on the rooftop. Caleb had seen a weapon because his family understood what the crest could expose. Taesung had seen a promise. Makena had seen a door out of humiliation. All three had been looking at the same object, and none of them had been telling the same truth. She turned the gold band between her fingers. My silver ring gave you the size. Yes. Did my father expect you to prepare this for me? He expected me to be ready. He did not expect me to decide what ready meant. A second sheet slipped onto the floor. Sunho picked it up by the edge and handed it to her without reading. It listed dates, accounts, and transfers tied to companies in Cora Bridal's expansion network. At the bottom, her father had written one sentence. Vivian Wynn knows what happened to me. The residence went so quiet that Makena heard fresh medical tape tear. Ara turned sharply. Sunho's expression hardened. Taesung closed his eyes. Makena faced him. You purchased the Wynn debt because of this. Yes. You watched Caleb approach me because you were waiting to see whether Vivian would move. Yes. And my father? Taesung opened his eyes. Pain had stripped the control from them. Your father discovered the Winns were moving money through businesses they planned to acquire after the owners were blamed. He prepared the evidence with my mother. When she died, he kept the oath alive alone. How did he die? He called me from the road. He said Vivian had found the archive. I reached him after the crash. Makena's throat closed. He was alive? For 9 minutes. The room tilted, but she refused to sit. What did he say? He told me they would come for his daughters when the money ran out. He made me promise that when they did, I would protect your right to choose before I protected anything else. Makena's grief broke open so cleanly that anger could no longer cover it. You failed. Taesung did not blink. Yes. Then Makena lowered her eyes to the final line of her father's letter. It was addressed to Taesung. If you ever confuse loving my daughter with owning her, then you have become the man I died stopping. Makena read the sentence again until the ink blurred. Taesung turned his face toward the windows. The movement pulled at his injury, but he did not make a sound. One paramedic pressed a hand against his shoulder and told him to stay still. For once, the most dangerous man in the room obeyed without argument. Makena folded the letter with careful fingers. My father knew you loved me. Taesung's eyes returned to hers. He knew I watched your photographs too long. That is not better. No. Ada's mouth tightened, though not with jealousy. It looked more like recognition. Makena placed the letter on the coffee table. How old were you? 24. And I was 19. Yes. You had my ring, my photograph, and a promise made to a dying man. Yes. Makena looked at the black diamond. That is not a love story. No. Good. We agree on something. Sun-Ho studied the ceiling with such dedication that Makena almost respected the effort. If you are still with Makena while the truth about her father begins coming apart, drop the emoji that describes how you feel about Taesong right now. Add your location and the time you are watching so we can see how far this finale has traveled. Ara moved away from the windows. There is something else. Taesong's jaw tightened. Makena noticed. He knows? He suspects. Ara opened her ivory clutch and removed a slim memory drive, a folded contract, and a second phone. Nothing about the gesture was dramatic. That made it worse. She placed each item on the table beside Makena's father's letter. My family was told I would marry Taesong. Makena looked at the diamond on Ara's hand. Ara twisted it once. This ring was never from him. Taesong's gaze remained on the ceiling now. Ara continued. Vivian arranged the story. She told my family that once Caleb controlled Cora Bridal, the Win accounts would be protected by an alliance with Taesong. She said the black ring would become mine after the evidence connected to your father was recovered. Makena stared at her. You believed her? I believed powerful families rarely invent marriage negotiations for entertainment. Caleb's family invented a diet plan for entertainment. Ara considered that. Then I overestimated their range. A paramedic made a sound that might have been a cough and might have been a laugh he wanted to keep employed. Ara pushed the folded contract toward Makena. I learned the truth when Vivian called me tonight. She ordered me to come here, see the ring on your hand, and make you leave before Taesong explained what it meant. You came. Yes. You tried to make me leave. Yes. Why are you helping me now? Ara looked at Taesong. Because he asked me to stay and interrupt if he softened the truth. Men do not request that unless they know the truth will damage them. That is a very low standard for integrity. It is. I have spent the evening adjusting. Makena opened the contract. The alliance promised shipping access, debt forgiveness, and political protection. Cora Bridal appeared in an appendix as an acquired retail asset, listed beneath warehouses and freight companies as though Makena's life's work were another loading dock. Her father's seal appeared beside it, not the true seal inside the black ring, a copy. Who made this? Vivian's office, Ara answered. My family received it 6 weeks ago. Taesong spoke without lifting his head. Before I confirmed the theft. Makena's anger sharpened. But after you bought the debt. Yes. You knew they were building an alliance around me. I knew they were trying. And you still let Caleb bring me to that rooftop. Taesong closed his eyes. Yes. Ara watched Makena absorb the answer. He does not deserve rescue from the truth. I am beginning to like you. That would be inconvenient for both of us. Sun-Ho's phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen and stepped toward Makena rather than Taesong. Selah is calling. Makena took the phone immediately. Her S.I. Esther's voice arrived low and controlled. There is a man outside my building who thinks standing beside a black car makes him invisible. Caleb? Yes. Makena's spine went rigid. Do not go near the window. I am not near the window. I am behind the kitchen wall with a frying pan. A frying pan? It was closer than dignity. Makena almost laughed. The sound hurt, but it was real. Sun-Ho was already issuing silent instructions through his earpiece. Makena lifted one finger. He stopped. Selah, Sun-Ho can bring you here, but only if you choose it. Is Taesong alive? Makena looked at the gurney. He is difficult to kill and more difficult to forgive. Taesong's mouth moved faintly. Sela exhaled. That sounds alive. Do you want to come? I want answers, and I have something Dad left behind. Makena's grip tightened around the phone. What? A box he told me never to open unless you showed me a black ring. Every person in the room went still. Sela continued. I thought he was being dramatic. He once labeled leftovers as evidence. That was because you stole them. I was 14. The statute of limitations has expired. Bring the box. I was already planning to. Sun-Ho sent 2 women from the residence security team rather than armed men. Sela approved their arrival before they approached her door. Caleb disappeared from the street 3 minutes before they reached the building. leaving only the black car and a phone beneath the passenger seat. Sunho retrieved the device remotely through his team and placed its contents on the residence system. The final message sent from it was addressed to Vivian. She has the ring. Ara is inside. I cannot tell who switched sides. Vivian's reply contained 5 words. Then assume everyone has. Ara read it over Makena's shoulder. At least she learns quickly. Makena looked at her. Did you switch sides? Ara's expression cooled. I discovered there should not have been sides. The private elevator opened 20 minutes later. Salah stepped out between the 2 security women carrying a small carved wooden box against her ochre blouse. Her high puff had loosened slightly, and one black pointed flat was scratched near the toe. She saw Makena first. The box hit the side table before the sisters reached each other. Makena wrapped both arms around Salah. For several seconds, the ring, the oath, the winds, and the wounded man across the room stopped mattering. Salah held her tighter. You smell like smoke. You brought a frying pan to a Mafia problem. It was a good pan. When they separated, Salah noticed Taesung. Her expression hardened with impressive speed. You are the man who watched my sister walk into an ambush. Taesung did not attempt charm. Yes. You were also shot protecting her. Yes. That is irritatingly complicated. I have been told. By her? Repeatedly. Salah looked at Makena. I do not like him. You have known him 12 seconds. He has been honest for at least 4 of them. Ara turned away, but not before Makena saw the corner of her mouth move. Salah brought the wooden box to the coffee table. The lock had no keyhole. Instead, its lid held a shallow circular groove. Makena placed the black ring into it. The hidden inner plate clicked against the wood. The box opened. Inside lay a silver ring. Makena stopped breathing. It was thin, slightly scratched, and unmistakably hers. She had worn it at 19 until her father claimed it had been lost during their final move. She turned toward Taesung. You said he gave this to you. He did. This is here. Taesung's face changed. Sunho looked at his boss with open alarm. Ara stepped closer. Makena lifted the silver band between 2 fingers. So which part was the lie? Taesung tried to push himself upright. The paramedic stopped him, and pain emptied the color from his face. Sunho, open the compartment inside the console. Sunho moved to the stone console and pressed beneath its edge. A concealed drawer released. Inside rested another silver ring, identical. Makena looked from one ring to the other. Sila whispered, Dad made 2. Taesung nodded. One measured your hand. The other carried what he was afraid to leave with me. Makena turned the ring from the box. A hairline seam ran around its inner edge. What is inside? Authority, Taesung answered. The one thing your father made certain no man in my family could inherit. The room tightened around the 2 silver rings. Sayla placed her ring beside Taesung's duplicate. The 2 bands looked harmless together. Thin silver, scratched edges. Nothing about them suggested hidden ownership, dead men, or families willing to kill for paper they had never earned. Makena picked up the ring from the wooden box and found the seam with her thumbnail. Open it, Taesung said. She looked at him. You are still giving instructions. His face tightened. You are right. Makena turned to Sunho. How? Sunho brought a narrow metal tool from the security cabinet and placed it on the table instead of touching the ring. The inner plate should release if you press here. Makena did it herself. A tiny disc slid free. One side carried the oath symbol. The other held a sequence of raised marks too small to read without magnification. Sila leaned closer. That is authority? It is half of it, Taesung answered. Makena's eyes sharpened. He corrected himself before she could. I believe it is half. Ara set the memory drive beside the disk. The alliance contract references a paired seal. One establishes ownership, the other opens the protected reserve. Makena turned toward Taesung's duplicate. And yours? Measurement only. Your father made certain I could prepare the black ring without possessing what it unlocked. The truth landed harder than another lie would have. Her father had trusted Taesung with a duty, but not with control. He had built distrust into the promise as carefully as any lock. Sila folded her arms. Dad finally designed something around realistic expectations. Taesung looked at her. He did. Makena placed both silver rings beside the black diamond. Then nobody touches any of them unless Sila and I agree. Sunho nodded first. Ara nodded second. Taesung did not move. Agreed. The paramedics finished stabilizing him and warned that moving again could reopen the injury. Makena expected Taesung to dismiss them. Instead, he asked for the risk in plain language, listened, and stayed where he was. It should not have impressed her. The fact that it did made her angry all over again. Sunho connected Ara's memory drive to an isolated system, the screen filled with account routes, debt purchases, shell companies, and transfer approvals. Makena did not need to understand every code. She recognized Cora Bridal's reserve account and the timestamp from the stolen 4.8 million. A second trail led from the same Win-controlled security account to the first elevator attacker. A third paid the man who entered Taesung's residence. Caleb had supplied access credentials. Vivian had approved both payments. Ara watched the records load. My family received only the alliance pages. Vivian kept the operational accounts separate. Makena looked at her. Would your family still defend her? They will defend themselves. That was not my question. No. Ara's answer arrived without polish this time. They would not defend her if doing so became more expensive than abandoning her. Makena understood that language. Caleb had used love, discipline, dignity, and marriage. Vivian used refinement and inheritance. Ara's family used alliances. Taesung used protection. Underneath each word sat a calculation. Makena looked at the accounts again. Can the stolen reserve be replaced from the protected fund? Taesung's gaze moved to the original silver ring. Yes. Without recovering what the winds took? Yes. Then no. Sunho glanced at her. Makena continued.
Replacing the money saves my company and teaches them theft is temporary when the victim has another account. I want the actual funds traced. That could take weeks, Sunho said. Then it takes weeks. Cora Bridal may not have weeks. Makena picked up the alliance contract. The Winds have assets. Taesung owns their debt. Ara has proof they promised my company to her family before they controlled it. Caleb filed fraudulent transfer papers. Vivian financed 2 attacks. We do not need more money. We need pressure applied in the right order. Taesung studied her from the gurney. What order? The one I choose. Something almost like pride crossed his face. Makena caught it. Do not look pleased. I am trying not to. You are failing. I was shot. That excuse has a limited shelf life. Sayla pressed her lips together. Ara looked toward the river. Sunho examined the account screen as though numbers had suddenly become fascinating. Makena took control of the room one decision at a time. Sunho would preserve the payment trail and prepare the rooftop security footage. Ara would authenticate the alliance documents and state exactly what Vivian had promised her family. Sayla would remain beside Makena, not hidden behind security, because their father's authority belonged to both sisters. Taesung offered lawyers. Makena accepted access to the records and refused anyone who answered to him. He offered his name. She refused that too. Finally, he offered the Win debt instruments. Makena looked at him for a long time. Transfer voting control over those instruments into temporary joint custody, mine and Sayla's. Sunho inhaled quietly. Taesung answered, Do it. No condition? No. No right to reverse it? No. No hidden page? His eyes held hers. No. Makena looked at Sunho. Verify every word. I will. Taesung did not object. That was the first useful apology he had given her. By dawn, Makena had enough evidence to destroy Caleb privately. She chose not to. The humiliation had been public. The theft documents had been presented before witnesses. The lie about her had been uploaded for strangers to enjoy. Caleb and Vivian had counted on the crowd becoming another weapon against her. Makena decided the crowd would witness the correction.
She sent an emergency notice calling the Cora Bridal Board back to the rooftop venue that evening. The message stated that the company would address fraudulent governance filings, stolen reserves, and material threats against its founder. Caleb replied in less than 4 minutes. "You are making a mistake." Makena typed back, "You already made it. I am scheduling the explanation." Vivian's response arrived through an attorney and demanded a private resolution. Makena read it aloud. Ara lifted one brow. "She still believes privacy belongs to the person who caused the scandal." Sayla reached for a cup of coffee. "Maybe Dignity has a cancellation policy?" Makena sent one final reply. "You requested witnesses the first time. I am respecting your preference." Taesung gave a low sound that turned into pain before it became laughter. Makena looked toward him. "What?" "Your father used to speak like that." The room lost its humor. Makena walked to the gurney. She stopped beyond his reach. "Do not use him to make me feel closer to you." "I was not." "You were thinking it." "Yes." She appreciated the honesty and hated that she did. The private elevator opened that evening. The rooftop had been stripped of flowers, candles, and staged romance. The same rectangular table remained on the raised platform, but Makena had removed the white cloth. Bare wood, no ring box, no folder waiting beneath it. Rows of chairs faced the platform. Board members, attorneys, and several guests from the proposal sat among anonymous observers. Every camera had been registered. Every recording would be preserved in full. Makena entered with Sayla on one side and Ara on the other. Sunho remained several paces behind as security, not spokesman. Taesung stayed at the residence. That mattered. Before she left, Taesung asked whether she wanted him on video. Makena refused. "You are evidence in this case, and part of the harm," she told him. "You do not get to stand beside me and make your power look like my victory." He accepted that. Sunho left a line open for emergencies, but Makena carried no earpiece. She wanted no voice telling her when to speak, when to stop, or whom to fear. The next decision would arrive in her voice. This time, Makena crossed the rooftop under no man's name. Caleb arrived first. He wore the same midnight blue suit from the proposal, though the tie was gone and his control had left with it. He stopped when he saw Sayla holding the wooden box and Ara carrying the alliance contract. Then Vivian entered. Her severe burgundy suit remained immaculate. She looked at the bare table, the cameras, and Makena standing where Caleb had once knelt. Vivian smiled. "You have always confused attention with power." Makena placed the black ring, both silver rings, and her father's letter on the table. "No," she said, "but your family confused my silence with permission." Caleb's gaze fixed on the ring. Vivian's smile disappeared. Makena turned toward the waiting board. "Begin the recording." The first recording played without music. Caleb's voice filled the rooftop. "Return the ring and sign tonight, or Salah becomes part of this." The second file showed him sending the resident's access code. The third connected Vivian's approval to both security payments. Then Ara authenticated the alliance contract and explained that Cora Bridal had been promised as an acquired asset before Caleb possessed a single legal share. Caleb stepped toward the table. "This proves nothing about me." Salah opened the wooden box. The original silver ring lay inside. Vivian looked at Makena's father's letter as though paper could be intimidated by posture. "That seal has no standing." Ara placed her memory drive beside it. "Your signature appears 12 times. Vivian turned toward her. "Your family will regret this." "My family regrets many things. Tonight they can add believing you." Makena addressed the board. "The filed transfer documents were presented under coercion. The reserve was removed through accounts concealed from me. The same people asking to control my company paid men to stop me from exposing them." Caleb laughed too loudly. "You left with a mafia boss and expect everyone to believe you are the innocent one?" Makena looked at the empty space where Taesung could have stood. "He is not here." Caleb's confidence faltered. "I did not bring his name to win this room," Makena continued. "I brought records. You should have tried that before bringing a diet plan. Vivian stepped forward. This entire performance proves what I warned the board about. Makena is emotional, impulsive, and incapable of separating private grievance from corporate duty. Makena nodded toward Sunho. The full rooftop footage began. Vivian's own voice told the guests to keep filming until Makena accepted. Caleb demanded that she agree to the body plan before receiving the ring. The corporate pages appeared in his hand. The room watched him threaten her with account freezes and board removal. Then the footage stopped on Vivian's smile. Makena faced the board. My private grievance is that they tried to steal my company. I apologize for bringing business into it. This time the laughter was not nervous. Vivian's control cracked. She pointed at Caleb. He mishandled the proposal. I was not responsible for his choices. Caleb stared at his mother. You wrote the plan. Vivian turned slowly. Be careful. You chose the nutritionist. You told the board she had to look unstable before the transfer. Caleb looked at the cameras, then at the ring, and understood that silence would not rescue him. She said Makena's father had already caused enough trouble. She said if the ring appeared, we had to get it before Tae-sung opened the old accounts. Vivian's face emptied. Caleb kept going. You told me the first man was only supposed to retrieve the folder. You never said he would cut the elevator cable. Sunho's gaze sharpened. Ara folded her arms. Selah whispered, he really did inherit her survival instincts. Makena heard her but did not look away from Caleb. And the residents? Makena asked. Caleb swallowed. I sent the code. She arranged the rest. Vivian crossed the space between them and struck him. Caleb touched his cheek. Something childlike flashed across his face, then vanished beneath rage. She ordered your father's crash, too. No one breathed. Vivian did not deny it. Instead, she faced Makena with the exhausted contempt of a woman forced to explain power to someone she had never considered entitled to possess it. Your father threatened systems he did not understand. He understood them well enough to frighten you. He endangered every family attached to those accounts. You mean he endangered the money? Vivian's chin lifted. Money is how families survive. Makena picked up her father's letter. My father died so your family could keep stealing. He died because he refused a reasonable arrangement. Makena's hand stopped shaking. There it was. Not remorse, not grief, not even denial.
Vivian believed murder became reasonable when spoken in a quiet voice. Makena looked at the cameras. Preserve that statement. Vivian's eyes widened for the first time. Security entered through the rear doors. No weapons were raised, no one shouted. Caleb and Vivian were separated, informed that the evidence had already been transmitted, and escorted toward the service exit while attorneys scrambled behind them. Caleb twisted back. Makena, you cannot do this. She held his gaze. You gave me 30 seconds to decide my future. I am giving you the elevator ride to consider yours. The doors closed on him. The board vote took 11 minutes. The transfer filings were voided. Makena remained sole controlling owner and creative director of Cora Bridal. Every Win-linked account was frozen pending recovery. The debt instruments Tae-sung had purchased were transferred into temporary custody, controlled by Makena and Selah, giving them leverage over the assets backing the stolen reserve. The $4.8 million would return from Win property, not from her father's protected fund. Makena signed the restoration documents with her own pen. Then she revoked Tae-sung's dual authorization. Sunho did not flinch. He signed the release before you left. Of course he had. Makena looked at the black ring. That does not forgive him. No. Sunho's answer held no defense. Tae-sung was sitting upright in one of the armchairs, despite instructions that had apparently become suggestions the moment Makena left. A fresh bandage disappeared beneath a clean black shirt. His suit jacket remained folded beside him.
On the coffee table waited the signed release, every Win debt instrument, and the complete oath archive. Tae-sung did not stand when she entered. It was the first time he had understood that respect could look like remaining where he was. Makena placed the black ring on the table. The company is mine. It always was. You behaved as though that fact required your approval. Yes. The debt is under my control. Yes. The oath ends tonight. He looked at the archive. That is your decision. Makena opened her father's final recording. His voice filled the residence, older than she remembered and warmer than the letter. He explained that the protected reserve belonged equally to Makena and Salah. The oath had never been designed to create another dynasty. It existed to destroy the machinery that let powerful families use ordinary people as shields. Then his message turned to Tae-sung. I know what you feel for my daughter. Feeling it gives you no rights. Tae-sung closed his eyes. If you protect her, protect the door too. A woman is not safe with a man she cannot leave. Makena looked at him. Her father continued. And if she chooses you, do not mistake that gift for a debt being repaid. The recording ended. Tae-sung opened his hand on the armrest. The fingers remained still, but Makena saw the effort it took. The night he died, Tae-sung said. I held the wound closed while he made me promise. Since then, unexpected touch returns me there. Permission is the only thing that makes the present remain the present. Makena understood him. Understanding was not absolution. She took the black ring and left. 3 weeks later, Cora Bridal reopened its expansion account. Salah became co-trustee of their father's reserve. Ara dissolved her family's alliance and kept her diamond ring only long enough to return it without ceremony. Caleb and Vivian faced the evidence they had created. At sunset, she returned. No cameras were raised. The table stood bare. Tae-sung faced her from several feet away. He placed the black ring on the wood between them. It belongs to you, whether you choose me or not. What do you want now that you have nothing left to use as leverage? The chance to become someone you do not need to escape. Makena picked up the ring herself. Wearing this does not mean I belong to your family. No. It means you have been invited into mine. Invitations can be withdrawn. Yes. His eyes moved to her hand, then back to her face. May I? Makena let him wait long enough to understand the answer was not owed. Then she said yes. Tae-sung reached for her hand only after she offered it. He did not slide the ring onto her finger. Makena did that herself. The black diamond fit exactly as it had the first night. Nothing about the choice was the same. Comment the one emotion this ending left with you, and share the story with someone who deserves to feel chosen, without being controlled.